Welcome to the Common Creative Podcast. My name's Paul Fairweather, and along with my co-host Chris Meredith, Chris and I are on a mission to open up the conversation about creativity in life and business through the lens of ideas, stories and visual communication. Today, unfortunately, Chris is gallivanting around Canada, delivering some storytelling sessions in Toronto. So today it's just me and my special guest, Mr. Graham Bligh. Graham, it's great to have you on to the
It's good to be here, Paul.
So we're actually interviewing from Graham's apartment. Today, Graham, just to give you a bit of background, Graham is a retired architect, but not a retiring sort of person, so to speak. And he gave up practice of architecture around 25 years ago. And since then, after being a leading light in Australian architecture, award-winning architect and director of a national, now international firm, Graham took up art in a broad sense. But he started printmaking, and from there he found objects and basically did assemblage work. And then in the last few years, he's developed the shakes, and he can't do that fine work. And so now Graham does these beautiful drawings in pastels. Graham and I have recently produced a small film about Graham's life and his artwork, and I've actually done a portrait of Graham recently for the Brisbane Portrait Prize. So I thought I'd take this opportunity, Graham, this is a bit of a long introduction, to ask you about your life in art particularly. So should we kick off by just you giving a little bit of maybe a potted history? I've just given a bit of potted history, but just give me a little bit about your background in a minute or two.
After Sylvia died, I was pretty lost. And Penny Charlton suggested that I attend a summer school put on by the Studio West End. And that's a printmaking studio with Wim de Vos. And I took like duck to water, and I've been with that studio ever since. I felt that I was a very lucky person to have that outlet, and that in fact after retirement life didn't miss a beat. I kept on going and being interested in life, and it's belonging to Studio West End that I was introduced to found objects with Keith LeBou, and I celebrated putting the prints and the found objects together, but my shakes interfered. But undeterred, I've taken to pastel, and they're a bit shaky, but who gives a damn? And Adele Outridge at the studio, who runs the studio now, Wim has passed, has made books for me, and Adele is an exceptional bookmaker, and it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah, no, they're beautiful, beautiful work. I'm really interested in this whole thing of sort of embracing this creativity, which you've done your whole life. Firstly in architecture, and now in other things along the way, which we talked about in the short film. But one of the things that sort of struck me after I think back about our conversation that we had is one of the things that you missed about architecture was working with a team, working with other architects, working with consultants and builders and clients. But because you did miss that, and a lot of artists' work is solitary, but one of the things that you've done over the last 25 years is continually and consistently attended studio with a group of other people. How important is that aspect of your art to your work and life?
It's been absolutely vital. I'm a people person, I would imagine, and the idea of working by myself in a studio is anathema. And most of the people at the studio are female, and there are a couple of other guys there, but it doesn't really matter beans whether you're male or female. There is some beautiful work done, but if everyone does things of their own volition, of work that suits them, it might be bookmaking or book binding, which I don't do. Adele does that for me. She's one of the foremost in the country on bookmaking. It's been good. New people join us and people leave, and there's always something to do. In the studio, we can be working on our own subjects or not. And I go back to when I was first started. I just love the feel of the ink it's almost tactile sex, and it's been very beautiful for me.
I think in the documentary we did, we spoke a lot about curiosity and about learning. And one of the things that, I love about what you do, I think it was probably back to why you wanted to make that little documentary, is to show people that there's life after work. And so we call the documentary The Art of Life After Work. But I think that what I really find really fascinating is your constant drive to learn new things. Learning printmaking, the assemblage bit, and even the pastels, learning what pastels to use. So do you want to talk about that sort of drive to learning? Because again, in the video we did, you said you hated school, which is all about learning. But as soon as you got out and got into university, and ever since, you've had continuous learning in your life.
Oh, it's life's there to be. Life is a university. It's leading life is a university, and it's just you're learning at your own pace, and people are always interesting. I remember when I was a little fella, my mum used to say, "Stop staring, Graham," and one of my grandchildren continued to stare a bit. I find people very interesting. I like being with people.
Just so that stop staring, in the documentary you talk about that your teachers used to say, "Stop dreaming, Bligh, stop dreaming," which I suppose when you're staring into space and dreaming. But you say that you're still a dreamer.
I'm still a dreamer, yeah, and I will be until they put me in the box.
A box of paints, is that? Just back to the learning thing, you did say to me again in the documentary that you've always had a mentor. And so just for our audience, what do you think is the importance of a mentor? Do you only need it when you're young, or is it something that, you need your whole life?
Well, I find that Adele, now that Wim has gone, has been a mentor. She introduces me to different things, different ways of working, and if Adele wasn't there, I'd be lost.
It's so curious because I suppose a lot of people would think that to have a mentor, that person needs to be older than you and give
Not
you...
at all. Not at all. The person could be a lot younger.
Learning from...
Introduce you to new aspects and can see value in what you do. And Adele is able to do that.
Have I taught you anything, Graham?
Absolutely.
That's the right answer. So two old blokes with hats sitting here learning from each other. So yeah, Graham, I think one of the things that it's interesting, we're both retired architects, yet in our professional career, we never crossed paths. I knew who you were, obviously, because you were very well known. I did know some of your business partners along the way and had met them. But it's only been in the last 15 years that we've connected, and we've really connected through art, but also through life. I think we have great conversations about life. One of the things that, again, on your constant and continuing learning, you are a keen and avid reader of The New Scientist.
The New Scientist. Next to me had Hans and Frederica Westerman in my in Cook Apartments. Franz and Frederica left after a few years. But Hans got the new scientist. Hans, incidentally, has just celebrated his 100th birthday. He introduced me to New Scientist, and New Scientist goes with me everywhere. It's a wonder I don't have it in my pocket now.
Yes, well, you're at home, so you got plenty lying around. In fact, I can see it over there underneath your phone, so you must remember to take it.
That magazine constantly introduces me to subjects.
It's interesting. You mentioned Hans there, and Hans is a friend, an ex-neighbour of yours. And recently, you and I went and had lunch with Hans. And I've got to say, Hans will be hopefully a future guest on the Common Creative. But he has celebrated his 100th birthday. And again, in this spirit of there's a life after work, he was a very senior 2IC planner to the Canberra planning group or planning committee, whatever they called it. But he's always had a love of music, and to celebrate his 100th, he composed 16 pieces.
Mosaic. Of musical mosaics. 16 pieces of music directed to a member of the family.
Yeah, so each member of the family performed a pre-recorded performance of the music that they were...
And the show went on for about 2.5 hours, and Hans says, he's a bit exhausted. And I observed to Hans, you've set a high marker for your 200th, celebrate your 200th.
Well, I love Hans, and we met him, and I showed him the video that we did, and he got very excited about it, and he said, look, I just got to get this birthday out of the way, but I'd love to do a collaboration with me. And I'm thinking, I just love his energy and his outlook in life, his optimism in life. So, Graham, I think it took you a while to, we say, embrace the shake. You were a little bit hesitant at first, but it was all about finding a material or a medium, I think, that suited you.
Well, I was working on a book adjusted to working on at a single dimension or 2 dimensions. And this book that Adele had made was so beautiful that she gave me for my birthday that I didn't like to put a mark in it. So that she and another member of the studio wrecked the book by picking a page and scribbling over it. And that gave me a freedom then.
I love that. Tell me, do you often face the fear of this white page or is it just because that book was so beautiful?
It's because the book was so beautiful.
Well, I can say you've done 4, I think you're on to your 5th book now. They're still very beautiful even after you've defaced them.
I used to work with a guy in England when I went over there soon after we were married, and he drew cartoons of people in the office, and I said to him, Kerry, you must get impressed by the white page. He says, that's all right. I don't. It doesn't worry me at all. I always put a foot mark on it or a figure mark on it. So he wrecks the paper before he does his artwork.
I think that is so interesting because I have the same thing when I get a beautiful book. It's very hard to start, I find. Next time I get one, I'll bring it around, Graham, and you can deface it for me to get it going. So one of the things I notice about your work, not now when you're doing the shakes, doing the pastels, but is that, with your assemblage work, so some of them are a little bit architectural. They look like...
It's strange. I go to be an architect in my next life and the life after that.
Right. So your first love is architecture, but your current love or your current mistress is art.
Yes.
Okay. And look, one of the things too, when you were explaining to me about your story about getting into pastels, you went and bought some cheap pastels, maybe thinking that you weren't going to like it.
I put them in the bin.
You put them in the bin. So how important is it to have quality materials?
I learnt long ago to work with good products, good paper. I work with 250 gram paper. That's when I work with paper. I find that I work on tracing paper currently, and that's not readily available. It's only available in art form, and so it's disappointing.
Disappointing in terms of?
Disappointing that I can't get into the real heavy tracing paper.
Right.
That I'm used to from my days as an architect.
And it's interesting that you've gone full circle.
Well, the office now has two desktops at each position, and they had a drawing board in each of the office, and no one used the drawing board. So the drawing board's not now available.
But you do have one in fact, you've got 2 of them. You've got one in there.
I've got 2 of them, if not 3.
Back to the drawing board for you, Graham. So, look, one of the key reasons I said earlier that we did this video about you was really about putting out the message that there is a lot of life left after you finish work.
Oh, yes.
So, talk to me about that a bit.
Finishing work as an architect was the first stage of my life. So I'm still leading life. I've moved on from being an architect. I'm working as an artist. It doesn't matter what you're called. It's part of living life.
So what would you encourage other people that might be, on the verge of transitioning to a different life? What words would you, or even younger people who might be a little bit stuck, they're losing a sense of purpose or... what would your advice be?
My advice in that situation would be that life just continues. It's just retirement as being finishing one stage of your life and you're on to the next stage. So it doesn't matter what you do.
And I think that leads on to another thing, a point that you made in the video. It's very much about the importance of the right attitude.
Yes, yeah.
And what is that? What is that attitude?
The attitude is... I think probably getting close to nature, realising what values you've got in yourself, what you're wearing, or what sort of motivates you, and embracing that everyone is different, and embrace your own strength and go with it.
What's next, Graham? Given you're doing pastels now, in the spirit of hands, wanting to collaborate on a new project?
Well, I'll keep doing the pastels until I'm in the box, I think.
Join them in the box. Well, Graham, look, it's been absolutely fantastic to have this chat. So I just wanted to say thank you before I close. So thank you very much for...
Thank you for having me with you.
It's my pleasure. And this is the first time the roaming studio, so let's hope it works well. So if you've enjoyed this conversation, you know what to do, and the thing to do is hit that follow button, because there'll be more to come. When I'm not quite sure what number it is, but certainly over 200, maybe over the age of Hans' next birthday, big birthday bash. So if you have enjoyed it, please hit follow. Also, please give a rating, preferably 5 stars. Not for me, of course, and not for Chris, because Lazy Bugger's not even here.
And not for me.
No, it's for you. The 5 stars is for you, Graham. Otherwise, they'll give us no stars. So 5 stars for Graham. Tell your friends. Look, reach out if you have an idea for a guest, but we've still got plenty more great guests to come to sort of open up this conversation about creativity in life through the lens of ideas, stories and visual communication. And certainly that visual communication is a big aspect of the work that you do, Graham. Thank you.
Thank you.